Hey guys,
Wait,
what is
going
up?
live. We're live. Hey, it's me, Six Swing Tony Six Swing here at Six Swing Productions with my co-host Laura Quinting.
Hey!
Anyways, welcome to the show. We were going to wait till Thursday night to do this, but due to an impending windstorm here in the Midwest, we have to get this done because I am going to need to shut down this computer to prevent damage due to power outages. So, just letting you guys know, from now on, we will be doing this, I believe, every Sunday night from midnight to 1 a.m., maybe a little earlier, depending, but that's about the schedule. But
Yes,
well,
we are looking to do Sundays because that is one of the only days that we are available and not working our asses off.
and we just lost all our viewers. Better get to politics, huh? So, I was actually listening to Ben Shapiro on my phone, and he was going into the politics of the Middle East and about the Temple on the Mount. And did you know that actually in Jerusalem, Israelites can't pray up on the Temple Mount, and the Western Wall is just a retaining wall. There's nothing holy about it. It's just the closest they can get.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they Jews cannot pray in Hebrew, otherwise they'll be forced out by the local Muslims.
Hmm.
And we cannot just split Israel in half because apparently a lot of the city is still that old style where the streets just happen to be wherever they ended up. There was no order to them, so there's nothing that just splits the town down the middle. So there's nowhere to put the line. You'd be putting it through people's houses and businesses, which is quite interesting, actually.
I would say that I don't know enough about that per se to say anything.
Oh, here's another thing though we could talk about here. Laura, have you heard of the Facebook page, the World Unification Project?
I have not.
Okay, well, many years ago, it started as a let's peacefully stop being these huge, being American, Chinese, all this stuff. Let's peacefully come together as a planet. Centerist, let's not be really liberal, let's not be conservative about this. Let's just be human beings and get rid of countries, and start a free democratic society. And now it is nothing but let's bash on Israel.
That's what the group is turned into?
Yep. You have to wonder. Oh, like it's got how Israel's apparently. What is that going off on your side, anyways? Okay, that's bothering me. What is that? Notifications?
I'm part of a giant Amazon group and they keep giving me notifications.
Can't you silence them for the podcast? Jeez.
I can see if I can make the volume go down, yeah.
Yeah, because that's just gonna keep stuff off. But anyways, back to us actually trying to talk and get an audience. Um, because our analytics, like we went up to 3, and now we're back down to one viewer.
That's me.
That's you. Um, but they went and they quoted Omar Gaddafi. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Omar Gaddafi. Uh, or sorry, Muammar al Gaddafi. The now dead guy used to run Libya. And the quote's this: "The Americans are good, but America will be taken over and destroyed from the inside by Zionist lobby. The Americans do not see this. They are getting dissent. Zionists will use them to destroy, or decadent. Zionists will use them to destroy them. Will use this to destroy them." It's like Zionists. I think the last time I heard the term Zionist used to describe anybody was back when the neo Nazis were a big thing. Like those are the last people I have ever. Those are the last people I ever heard say that about anyone. The Jewish, Zionist, black conspiracy. You ever heard that one?
I feel like I've heard of Zionists, but I don't remember why.
Zionist is Mount Zion.
Oh, yes,
It's
yes.
also Judaism is Zion. They call them Zionists, like the Mount of Zion. Let everyone or let the nations rise from Zion or something like that. It's a holy type of thing, and it's like, um, well, okay. Uh, your point is, I highly doubt that Israel is what's going to destroy the U.S. Like, they keep going after them, and the liberals are just on here. Oh yes, everyone thinks the Democratic Party isn't racist, but how lately haven't you seen how they hate Israel and they hate white people?
See, I feel like that is a not per se misconception, but I feel like everyone, when it comes to the terminology racism, and this is like actually a good example of what I was um so recently I had actually gone on a vacation with my boyfriend, and he happens to be Caucasian slash white. We had went on our vacation to South Carolina, which is basically as south as you can possibly get. And we were unaware of the fact that it is actually predominantly, when it comes to the service industry, African American slash black people down there. Well, I per se ordering my food was fine, but said boyfriend was getting the look down and kind of not really being smiled at by any of the workers or the customers. And you could kind of just tell that he was being judged.
Oh, but the left will tell you that you can't be racist if you're white. I mean, if you're black. Because according to them, racism is about minority, and it's like, what the hell?
Someone who's being racist is someone who is um, making themselves superior against another race. That's all it really needs to be.
Yeah, or you can go one step further, which is something the left is also doing, and we'll go into this later on when we can actually get my transgendered friend from work on here to put in her 2 cents. She is a male to female in the process of getting out of her shell and becoming a woman. Uh, but she even agreed that this is child abuse. This one guy was ordered to affirm his son's female identity that his son will not affirm when he's at dad's house. Like mom will uh withhold affection if he acts like a boy, if he doesn't wear women's clothing, and is determined that he's transgender and is named renamed him Luna because that name doesn't scream I hate all men hippie, does it?
See, personally, I think with people as young as they are, you see these people that are detransitioning because really they're not per se transgender. I think they're just adolescents that are confused on who they want to be. It could be possible that they're similar to a very popular person who is not transgender, by the way. His name's Jeffree Star on YouTube. And really, he's just a dude that likes to wear makeup and wear girls' clothes sometimes.
And there's
But
nothing
he's
wrong
not
with that.
transgender.
There's nothing wrong with that. But also, the left thinks you got to be transgender. And on the other side, you got the right who doesn't understand that being gay or trans isn't a choice. Um, and you're also getting this right and left going back and forth each other, and the left's hatred of white people and Christians in particular. And for all you guys knowing, Laura's a Catholic and I'm an atheist. I do not like religion at all, and I read the Bible, and I think the God of the Bible is an evil dickhead. But at the same time, I'm going to respect everyone's right to believe what they want as long as they don't hurt anyone else. But they're loving the Muslim countries and saying, let's let them all in without any vetting to keep out the big bad guys. And now you're getting some of these Christians who are getting just as radicalized. It's like soon we're going to have the freaking, what, 80th Crusade on our front doorstep? Jeez.
Right. Like, I feel like when it comes to religion now, it's almost like on both sides, neither one is really able to say anything without being shut down. Like, I, as someone who is a Christian, like, I'd be torn apart by the LGBTQ community because we're always told, oh, you guys are racist. Oh, you guys, like, don't respect us. Like, you guys just want us burned at the stake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fine with transgender people. But I will not sit here and say that your beliefs are the same as mine.
Oh yeah, no, and by the way, as any of you guys who have watched previous videos of mine would know, I'm bi. Uh, so it's like, okay, I'm a bisexual spiritualistic atheist who's also autistic and bipolar. So I have several different labels that I could be given, but I don't really fit into any of them. And like you were saying, Laura, about the whole realizing that they want transgender, there was a point in my life where I was so curious what it'd be like to be a woman, and my actually the fact that I like cute things, like my very adorable zebra print fluffy body pillow, uh, is it made me think because of what all these people are doing. Okay, does this mean I'm trans as well? Well, I went through some soul searching and figured out I'm not trans. I'm just ambivalent towards my gender or don't give a shit. So it's like
I
I
think that's the really damaging thing about when it comes to religion and also when it comes to like gender in itself, where like society has trained us so much that like when you have certain colors or when you have like certain toys that they're only associated with a certain gender, when really both genders, like, toys shouldn't be gendered. You should be able to enjoy, like, sports cars, or you should be able to enjoy like a doll even if you're a dude. It shouldn't matter because you're a little kid, and even when you're an adult you should be able to buy whatever you want.
yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I had this girl I would play with at her house, and we pretty much grew up together. Actually, childhood sweetheart. Our parents almost damn near turned us into a arranged marriage. That never went anywhere because everything fizzled out because we stopped hanging out and shit. But we ended up always playing with Barbies, playing house, all this stuff. But I also liked playing with Legos and action figures with her brothers, and she didn't mind going out and playing with the wooden made guns that were made out of wooden nails. You know, those fake guns we used to play with as kids up north. I'm sure you know the ones, Laura. Kids would take a couple pieces of wood, put in a nail for a trigger, and there you go. You have your little gun to play cowboys and Indians, or cops and
Yeah,
robbers. She'd play that just to ride along with us. And
but
there was no problem with that.
while I do agree, and this is like something that I don't agree when it comes to the whole um, gender thing, along with toys. When it comes to, there was a couple stories that I've been told where there was like these psycho crazy like parents, and they like basically turned their child who didn't know whether or not they were a female or male, because they basically tried to make them a genderless baby, which I had no idea like where they decided to come up with
It's.
this shit.
You ever seen Monty Python, Laura?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch The Story of Life, or The Meaning of Life. You gotta watch Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. And it goes through life. And it starts with birth. And the mother asks, is it a boy or girl? And as the joke, the Monty Python actor says, it's a little early to be pushing gender roles on it, don't you think? And it's like, that was a joke back then. Now it's reality.
I
Since
don't like parents pushing or like enabling kids to be transgender at such a young age, because I think later on they truly regret doing that. I think they should be at least like 16 or up to really make that decision on like if they actually want to go through
yeah,
with this. Because if you're like giving these kids like,
the
testosterone and all that stuff,
the
it's
block
already too late.
the blockers stop puberty and lock them into the gender dysphoria can cause mental disorders, cancers, all this other stuff. Of course, we kind of went on a little rant here about the transgender issue, but it comes back to the fact that this story about this Luna kid, because I forget his boy name, because all the stories about Luna, Luna, Luna. The point is, the left forcing us to accept this is just making the right angrier and feeding the fire.
Yes, it just makes it so that when it comes to religion or like gender neutrality or anything LGBTQ related, like that is why the left and the right hate each other. They can never come up to a solid decision because they're arguing on things that
They
neither of
can't
them
even
agree with.
they can't even admit they agree with stuff because if they do, they're seen as a traitor to their side. This is why I hate both parties. I mean, you got the right. I mean, you also got gun control, which I'm like, you know what? I can see licensing, but I don't want you to make the licensing so hard that a law-abiding citizen with no criminal record, not even a speeding ticket, has to say why they want to exercise their right to carry a firearm in the town. What I say is, if you don't have a criminal record, or at least no violent crimes and no felonies, you should have to take a safety course, and then you get a license and you can carry, concealed or otherwise. It's just common sense gun control. You have to take a safety class. You don't have a you have no violent priors or incidents in your past. So why should you have to say why you want to exercise that right?
Right. I do believe that background checks are very important when it comes to something like
Oh
that.
yeah, like I said, you want to make sure they don't have any criminal history. But I'm sure you can agree with me, although the right will say, oh, that's infringing on your right. But I still say, with all the accidents and the people not having good trigger discipline, which is what causes all these people to get shot in their own homes because they don't know to keep the finger off the trigger till they're ready to fire. Um, all these accidents could have been prevented by a simple safety course.
And personally, I think a lot of these issues with the guns, of course, as well, it isn't helpful if the background check, while like crimes is a huge thing to look for, we should also be looking at like major psychological issues that people have in their background
We don't
history as
want to.
well.
We You may say that, but that would screw people like me because I'm autistic and bipolar, but I have no violent. I don't have violent tendencies. My bipolar is simply getting depressed and whatnot. But people like me, these news people always say all these kids that shot up all these schools are autistic. So what now? Autistic kids can't have guns because they're
Hmm.
autistic? You see the slippery slope of adding mental stuff to them. Now I can see like schizophrenia or someone who's diagnosed as a psychopath or a sociopath, stuff like that. But once we enter into that realm, where does it stop? Because we're labeling everyone with some sort of mental disorder now.
That would be hard to gauge. I guess, like, in general, the practice of having, like, safe gun control
Well,
really is just ending up being, like, a shit show at the end of the
well,
day.
they're going to get a hold of them anyways. Most gun violence after suicide, which if people want to kill themselves, they're going to find a way to kill themselves. The gun might make it easier, but they use the gun because they have it and it's too much use to get a rope up, put up a rope. But if you're that depressed, and you're going to kill yourself. You're going to kill yourself even if there's no gun. People in Japan has a higher per capita suicide rate than America does, and they don't really have private gun ownership. All their people jump in front of trains. So it's not going to impact suicide. Most gun violence is used in with handguns that were illegally acquired during drug uh, drug things gone bad, or drug deals. Sorry, drug deals gone bad. Using illegally obtained firearms in places like Chicago, where owning those firearms is illegal.
Well, I think and what's interesting is when it comes to the news, like, obviously you only see the large stories. So when you have these, mass shootings, and then you're not really posting about any other, like, smaller gun, um, attacks that happen, then everyone just assumes, oh,
Well,
well,
that's part
the,
of the political
you know,
message. That's part of the political message because you end up having it to where the gun control people. Because have you ever noticed the suspicious timing of all these mass shootings? Like they're just about to put in a new gun control law, and then end up having a mass shooting, well, guess what? The people who are lobbying for gun control get money, and the people who sell the guns sell more guns because they think they're coming after your guns. Except we all know those people that bought all those guns will be the first ones in line to give them back when they get confiscated so they can stay a law abiding citizen.
I haven't personally looked at the timing of that.
Well, I have. I've just noticed as soon as it happens, that the next day they have a piece of legislation ready to go, a several thousand page document ready to go.
I don't doubt that when it comes to people like Bernie or Trump, that, and I was discussing this with someone else, that while, the presidents do, want to make their own changes on certain stuff, at the end of the day, they're kind of just a puppet to a larger group of people that give them hush money
Yeah,
and
and
say, hey,
people say all this stuff about Trump though, and which I kind of want to step on. And I don't like the guy. I think he's an idiot. I think he's a reactionary. I think he does not know when to keep his mouth shut and not say anything because nothing needs said. He lets his emotions dictate his policies way too much. But on the same time, he hasn't done anything illegal, but the left is trying to impeach him, where they're doing just as bad stuff. Like, you remember the Russia investigation, don't you? Mueller report and all that shit?
not really.
You know, where they try to say that Russia got Trump elected?
Oh, yes, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Hillary thinks everyone's a Russian plant. Here's the thing Hillary was selling uranium to the Russians. So who do you think they're going to want to help get into the White House? The person who's pro America, pro capitalism, especially when Putin has come out and said he wants to rebuild the Soviet Union, or the person selling them nuclear material?
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
thinking
good
if they
point.
were going to interfere, they would have helped Hillary get elected. Because she was selling them uranium.
I did not know that particular fact.
Yeah, like all this stuff. And really, I don't think Alex Jones has it right with the whole let's have actors and everything with these school shootings. Because you don't need all these many actors. All you need is three guys and a computer. Well, three so you can get more crazy people on there. All you have to do is go into the NSA, have a couple of the guys flood some crazy guy's Facebook with a bunch of school shooting news, and wait for him to do something and wait for the news to overcover it. And after the news has overcovered the thing, they just get a bunch of copycats and boom, boom, boom. The anti-gun lobbyists make money, and the gun stores sell a bunch of guns because they think they won't be able to buy them. So both people make money, and the news makes money off of ratings
Yeah.
because none of these people give two shits about the kids in the school. It's about politics, it's about money, it's about power.
That's another point that I had noticed when it comes to. So obviously, we are co-hosting, even though we don't live in the same area. And this isn't gun related, but it kind of is related when it comes to government and policy. So he lives in Indiana.
Indiana.
I live in Michigan. So in Michigan, Governor, whoever the hell is in office right now.
Governor
Um,
Fucktard?
anyways, so it's not Granholm. Her name's like
No,
shit. I can't.
Granholm's the one that said if you have a single special ed class, you can't get a diploma.
It's for some reason it's like blocking my mind who this woman is.
That's
But
because she's so
anyways,
stupid it's not worth the time to remember her name.
so they had enacted this policy when it comes to, and I can actually like firsthand like give you an idea on how this looks from like an outside perspective. So they were trying to get rid of vapes that are not
Oh yeah, the flavored
basically
vapes.
tobacco and like the menthol flavor.
Oh yeah, because they went and some people bought black market vapes and died.
Yeah, so they called it like popcorn lung or something like that.
Yeah, because they bought black market THC weed vapes. So they told them you gotta pull everything off the market. I'm like,
And it was actually something that was going around, which I cannot confirm whether or not this information is 100% true, but it was saying that a large percentage of the money that this governor was receiving in donations was actually through the tobacco industry. So she was trying to make this law more so instead of giving a shit whether or not these
oh,
kids,
we
you
knew
know,
it was about big tobacco and get rid of it. Big tobacco and big pharma are the reasons weed's still illegal in most places. I'm pretty sure she's going after the new recreational marijuana law in Michigan, which they're talking about coming here to Indiana, but Indiana's a Republican-controlled state, so it'll never happen. Don't mind the fact that I think the CDC did a study a while back. I'd have to look it up.
I'm gonna
Where
look up the governor's name just so we both don't sound like a dumbass, like referring to this person.
yeah, uh,
Whitmer, Governor Whitmer. That's what her name is.
Governor Whitmer, I want to call a governor fuckhead. Let's keep raising taxes on gas in order to pave these roads that we're never actually going to pave because it doesn't matter how much Michigan taxes you, they never fix the damn roads. It always has to go somewhere else.
Our roads are like just now being fixed, and I'm like, it's almost fucking winter. Why are you guys like blocking most of the goddamn road?
Oh, because they can. Uh, Down here, up here's another thing. She lives in a democratic state, and you would think that in a democratic state the bureaucracy and all this stuff would be worse, right? Well, in Michigan, dealing with the government was easier than here in Indiana. Though in Indiana, you don't need as many licenses to do things. If you need health insurance, Medicaid, or anything like that, it's not based on how much of the poverty line you are, it's based on your monthly income. So they calculate it um, on if they calculate it on a good month for you, they'll say your monthly income is this and they'll kick you off even though your yearly income is this. Because in Michigan, you can make 150% of the poverty line. That means a single mother can make $36,000 a year and still receive both food stamps and Medicaid. In Indiana, if she makes more than $1,400 a month or $1,800 a month, something like that, she loses all assistance. And at
That is
2,700, her kid
actually
loses it.
I was so one of my friends happens to be on I don't know if it's Medicaid or whatever it is, but she had let me know that if she makes more than like a certain amount of money, I think it's like $1,000 or whatever. Um, Maybe it's 1,400. I don't remember. But she said that, and she worked a minimum wage job basically. I think she only made like $11 an hour,
Uh huh.
but she worked at a Dollar Tree, which in the wintertime, especially with the holidays coming up, obviously, you would probably be forced to work longer hours. She ended up working like 40, 45 hours in a week and then, had to do that for 2 weeks. She had to do a bunch of overtime. Well, her check ended up being significantly less because not her like paycheck. Her paycheck was whatever, but her social security check, I believe, supplements less money because she made more money in her paycheck.
Well, I can kind of get that, and she wouldn't be getting Social Security unless she was on disability. Uh,
She is on disability, yes, and
that's why. That's based on
her
how many.
dad's pension.
Disability is based on how much you work, not how much you make. So if you work so many hours, too many hours, you lose your disability because you can work. What I'm talking about is food stamps and Medicaid.
Well, maybe it might be different for the healthcare because I don't think she paid for like anything.
No, healthcare is 150% of the federal poverty line. Let me look that up real quick.
Because she'd go to the dentist a lot, she'd get pills a lot for
Yeah,
her
she was
stuff.
still on Medicaid. Let's see here. Federal poverty line. Uh, The federal poverty line for one person is $12,490. Two people, it's $16,910. Who can live on $16,000?
I've seen people do it.
Yeah, but in most places, 12,000 is your rent for the year, and they calculate it on gross income.
Well, I think what she said was for her
Oh, that's a
disability check,
DC. That's for in
she'd
DC.
get like between probably like 10,000 to like 12 to 13,000 just from disability.
Yeah.
And to some people, getting $1,000 to $1,300 check, they can still live off of that.
Oh yeah, they can. If they're minimalist, but most people can't. What I'm talking about is, um, people who need to rent a place, like up in Traverse. What's the average
Travis
in?
is awful.
Oh yeah, guys, we both used to live in Traverse City, Michigan. It's a tourist town, but it is dying because there's no workers to serve the tourists in the town because the local government has caused property taxes to go up so high, uh, by trying to improve property value to try to get more rich people in there, that the people you need to work the available jobs there can't afford to live there. Laura was saying $11 an hour. Well, up in Travelers, minimum wage is effectively $11 an hour. Even if that's not the law, that's what everyone had to go to just to get workers.
Yes.
And people still couldn't afford to live there.
Like, if it gives you an idea, Traverse City, I will say it's a beautiful area, awesome place to go to if you have the time. But when it comes to like the little people, the blue collar people that actually live there, you are not going to have access to a good job. A very small percentage of people actually have anything that's better than either factory work or service type of jobs, such as retail or fast food slash
And there
restaurants.
aren't a lot of factories. The factory jobs with a lot of overtime that those factories do have up there are the only jobs that do pay enough to make a living unless you own your own business, which is why so many people run their own businesses up there and
Right,
have
and
trucks.
when it comes to like living, most people, at least the ones that I knew, either you got to pay at least $1,000 to have your own place, like near where most of the businesses are, or
Or one
northern
bedroom
Michigan
with
in
four
general.
or one bedroom with four people.
Right. Northern Michigan in general, there would be people who would live in these really, really small areas, such as like Mansalona or like Grand or something. Like you can get your rent like semi cheap around there, but then you're looking at a 30-mile to 60-mile commute just to get your $12 an hour job in Traverse City.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of the country is going to. Like, jobs like mine, where I'm guaranteed 40 hours a week and make 15 something an hour, are not going to be sticking around. They are kind of going away. And that's really is due to both left and right policies. Because, look, you got the right saying, free all business. Well, here's the thing. What happened in the 20s when we had unbridled capitalism? They put the profit before everything else, and you had all privates and no well, you know the old saying, Laura, you can't have an army of all generals and no privates.
I haven't heard of that before.
Well, the idea is you have to have someone to do the work,
Right.
and right now the generals can't make a living. Well, you tell everyone go into plumbing, go be management and whatnot. Not everyone can be a manager. Someone has to do these lower jobs.
Right.
And people say, "Oh, you don't need a living wage if you work at McDonald's." Laura, how hard was our work at McDonald's?
I would say McDonald's as a first comer job, it teaches you a lot and is actually pretty damn stressful for a minimum wage job.
Oh yeah, especially at our place that was so short-staffed. Now the ones around here, where I live here in Indiana, they are so poorly run. I don't think these people deserve a raise. But you remember, our customers thought we deserved 15 an hour because we did such a good job.
Right, like we would be the type of people where if you were having your order taken by me, you'd be stuck seeing me when you get your food too.
And me, I'd be nice, like the because we were so short staffed, you remember the drive-through would stay backed up for like what 10 minutes at a time because we had nowhere to park them.
Yes.
And I would sit there and I'd chit chat with the person there at the window because I couldn't leave the window because it was peak hours. And
Right.
we talk about the weather and shit. And you know what? People like that personability. And that personal touch, which is sorely lacking in so many places. I think of these kids at these McDonald's and stuff would quit whining about their job and how horrible customers are, and just treated them the way you should treat a customer. They'd have a much better experience with their customers, and they would also have more people behind them to give them more money. Because, like at my work, we need them to hire more people, but people never show up to work. So we can't get them to hire more people because people aren't showing up to work. So they just put it off as absenteeism. Same thing over here. You want to raise, but you don't do your job. You don't treat your customers with any respect.
Right. Like you can't be expected to just be handed a raise just because.
So, but on the other hand, I can see the right's point to the left that you shouldn't be able to raise a family on McDonald's.
Right. And
But
I agree with that as well. But at the same time, people do not realize that everyone's like, oh, well, minimum wage jobs are the minimal amount of work. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but depending on if you live in like a shithole town and a McDonald's is one of the only places to work to pay your bills, it's not just going to be those high school kids that haven't started college yet that are working at a McDonald's or
oh, they
working in
say
a
everything
Dollar
about high
Tree.
school kids, but you remember how high schoolers couldn't work certain hours.
Right. If
So it's
you were
like,
like 15,
do
you had to be out by like 7:30. You had 2.5 hour shifts, and you could only work certain times
in certain places you
at
couldn't
night.
even work the grill. So here's the thing, guys: if you want that early egg McMuffin or that lunch or the high on a school day, it's not a high schooler making your food. It's an adult struggling to get by.
Right.
And people don't get that. And I'm not saying you should be able to raise a family on McDonald's. What I'm saying is you should be able to afford a small one bedroom efficiency apartment if you're willing to work 40 hours a week. With the ability to get a vehicle to get to and from work, and maybe enough money to get internet. I'm not saying you need to make enough money to own a house and raise three kids, which we knew the one guy had like 7 kids. Thank God he had 3 jobs so he couldn't have any more. It's like, when do you stop when you make this little money?
Right.
But we end up doing all this, and people just want money. So I understand the right's conviction against raising the minimum wage too much. But on the other hand, I understand the left's point of view, which is why I'm a centrist, that it needs to be higher. Because if we went back to the 70s and did inflation, it'd be $12 an hour and some odd cents by now. And the thing is, with them replacing so many manufacturing jobs with automation, and in a lot of places, service industry becoming the only available work. Because have you ever looked into going into the trades, Laura?
I've thought about it.
Well, I've met someone who tried to go into the trades. I ran into him at the Secretary of State up there when I was getting my Jimmy's lien released. He said he couldn't finish his journeyman's license because the tradesmen up there didn't want him to become competition.
Hmm.
So I'm sorry, but you cannot just go into the trades. To those of you who think that you can just go into the trades, here's what you have to do. You have to either know somebody who's in the trades or pay for yourself to go to school, get a truck, buy tens of thousands of dollars in equipment before someone will bring you on as an apprentice because no one's going to let you use their equipment. Every time you look for these entry level jobs, they expect you to already be trained by a school and have your own tools. But you tell me to go into the oh yeah, and they offer you $13 an hour.
That is the thing that I think is BS. Like, you look at all of these jobs that say, oh, well, you need like 5 to 6 years of experience. Oh, we want you
And
to
they're
have a
paying you
bachelor's
and you're
degree.
paying you the top wage you're getting if you work at McDonald's.
Literally, I think I saw a job that was like, we want you to have like a bachelor's and like whatever, like HR or something, but we're only
Okay.
going to give you 13 to $14 an
I
hour.
I'm a computer guy, guys, and I was in school for network engineering. To get a help desk job, which would be the starting level job, they wanted 5 years experience and an associate's degree to pay me $10 an hour. Right now, to operate a machine in a factory, I'm making 15.28 an hour with benefits. So I'm making more money for an unskilled job than I would with my degree. That's supposedly in high demand. And you want to know what they wanted all that for? Level 1 help desk. You know what level 1 help desk is? Is your computer turned on?
Hmm.
So the right's thing of just go to school, just get more education. No. The left loves you in school because if you have you ever noticed all these protesters don't have jobs?
Well, that kind of brings me on to the point where the protesters, I don't know if you heard the story about what
Yeah.
happened to GM.
Oh
They
yeah.
were protesting for more rights, and I used to work in a call center, so I would talk to customers all over the U.S. A lot of people, besides the protesters within GM, actually ended up getting screwed over because they have a lot of distributors and people that are on kind of like the outside but still help them
Oh
out.
yeah.
Well, they were either laid off,
Skilled
didn't have
manufacturing
work.
in Traverse City did all their work for GM. That's where they made a lot of stuff for Chevy Camaros and that. And GM owns Chevy, so if GM ain't working, Chevy ain't working. They're the same company, actually. So yeah, if I was still working up there at Skilled, I'd be kind of out of luck. Luckily, I don't work there anymore. But essentially, you got all these guys protesting and stuff, and they say all this stuff to GM. It's like you guys already. I kind of get what they were saying about getting the stopping this whole not letting the temps actually get hired in stuff, and you're closing too many
I agree
plants
with
and
that,
shit.
and I agree with like better benefits.
Better
But at the end of
benefits.
the day,
They were making over an average of over $20 an hour on the floor.
yeah. And like when you think about it, you're screwing so many other people's lives. It's like a domino effect. If the people can't get, any work, like some of the guys that I would talk to who were like detailers or whatever the hell they are, basically they help with the parts. Well, if they're getting laid off for the day and they're not getting overtime anymore, or their hours are just being cut in general, they don't have money for other stuff like their internet or food or blah blah blah. So really,
Or
the economy is just tanking in general.
I saw this thing. I think my dad's girlfriend might have been the one who posted it on Facebook. But something about Amazon not paying any taxes, right? Well, here's the
I heard
thing.
that too.
Here's the thing. Did George Bezos pay taxes? Because Amazon is a company, and as a company, they actually lose money every year. So you're paying taxes on a loss?
What do you mean lose money?
Yeah, Amazon does not make money. The only way they have all that money is people keep investing in Amazon. All their money is in their stock price. Like they do not make a profit.
I
They have
did
never made a
hear
profit.
I don't know where I heard it, but I did hear that Jeff Bezos, as his like base salary isn't very high, but he's rich because of his stocks. I did know that.
Yeah, it's because of the stock that they have so much money. They aren't rich in the bank. They're rich in the stock market. So, and you're taxed on profit. So if you don't make a profit, you don't pay taxes.
I mean, I think that a lot of people, I mean, obviously they know about you're not going to be taxed if you didn't make anything, but I think people conceive Jeff Bezos as making a shit ton of money because he's bought so many things. Like he's basically become the
Well,
next Netflix
he
with
doesn't.
you
Well,
know.
the way he does that is he just trades some Amazon stock and buys stock in these other companies.
I mean, Amazon in itself has really expanded their company though. Like you can watch
Yeah, they
like
put all their money back into it, and I do not agree with the way they're treating their employees with the no talking, you can't use the bathroom, blah 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 blah. That is bullshit. The reason they don't want them to talk is they don't want to become a union. But at the
I haven't
same
heard
time,
of that before.
yeah, if you talk to anyone who's been in an Amazon facility, they don't let them talk to each other on the floor, and they get in trouble if they start talking to each other. Uh, so this is what an unbridled capitalism is. Is it causes great depressions, but at the same time, socialism, you get the Soviet Union and the Third World. Communism and Venezuela. Communism doesn't work anywhere. Never has. You have to put the two together. And really, I think we should have separate minimum wages for jobs that do and do not require a college degree. What
I
do you?
would agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, like 15 for no college and like 30 for college. So you have to pay us double if you have a degree. Because that would actually fix a lot of stuff. Because the reason that so many people are against minimum wage is because they don't even make 15 an hour, and they know their boss is going to go to that 15 and stick there, and every job is going to be minimum wage now.
Yeah.
So that minimum wage law would help more than just the McDonald's workers. Everyone focuses on the McDonald's workers. They don't talk about the new tradesman who has to work in the trade for 10 years before he can even afford a one-bedroom apartment.
Right, like there's so many jobs that like just check Indeed. You'll be surprised how many jobs do not pay $15 an hour.
Oh, like I went and I was listening to Dave Ramsey. You've heard of him, haven't you? The finance guru, so
I
Financial
haven't,
Peace
no.
University.
No.
Well, look him up. I agree with his baby step plan, and actually, I'll have you look him up, and in another episode we'll go over that when we talk about economics, because we still got to talk about you and those damn credit cards. We're going to debate
What?
credit on one of these episodes, but you end up. He says all this. He says, "Well, you need to up your income by $30,000 a year." How? I understand a lot of these people are already middle class and they have these qualifications. They could do something to up their income, but how? What experience do you have? You don't just up your income by 30 grand a year or 15 grand a year.
I don't even make 30 grand.
Yeah. In order to up your income by 15 to 30 grand a year, you'd have to work full-time at McDonald's plus some overtime plus your regular full-time job.
Right. Most of the people that I know that have any kind of like riches are either the people that are like, your standard STEM degrees, or they have their own business.
Oh yeah. And of course, you got another reason you don't want pure capitalism, or at least not pure crony capitalism, is because companies like to put in more regulations that prevent small businesses from coming up, which means you can't just start your own business to protest the poverty wages because you don't have the capital to get licensing.
I
Still,
didn't think about that.
yeah. So like, you want to start a lemonade stand? Well, you gotta have the health department and everyone else come in and inspect your lemonade stand, how you make it, have professional equipment in your kitchen, blah 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 blah. You gotta have this industrial stuff. You can't just cook on a kitchen stove for your restaurant. You have to have an industrial stove.
And you have to have a bunch of people like health inspectors and crap like that check over your place.
And this is what's keeping little kids from starting their own things. This one kid I heard about got fined for mowing grass without a business license. So you can't go and just make money anymore. And that's what's
Hey,
really killing the
one of my
economy.
one of my coworkers made it through half of what we were saying for our babble.
They did?
Yes.
What, they message you?
Yeah, they were like, it's missing something, but I don't quite know what it is.
It's missing so it's close, but it's just missing something.
It's missing him talking.
What do you mean missing him talking?
Well, I told him that he should be on the podcast because he is a coworker of mine who I think would bring like an older um knowledge base kind of, at least as like a guest person, and he's like 40 almost. But I told him, you'd have a lot of advice on like life and whatnot that you could kind of bring to the podcast as like a guest speaker.
Yeah, we need some guests somewhere to make it a little more interesting. But I hate to say it, when it comes to older people, though, like your coworker, they do not have any clue what they're actually doing. Well, what their advice tells us, because their advice is based in a world that largely isn't reality anymore.
Yeah.
They tell me all this stuff, then I go look to try to take their advice, and their advice turns out to be wrong.
I would say, like, especially when people, that's why I don't agree with traditional roles of like almost anything that my parents or like my boyfriend's parents look at, because times have greatly changed. Like, one of the things that especially I don't agree with when it comes to religion is the ideal that a couple that's been together for a really long time should not live with each other because they're not married. Well, personally, everyone's too broke to not do that. Like, you can't live at your own place without your significant other because you can't damn near afford anything. So it just kind of makes sense if
Oh,
you
and how
guys
about
have been
this one?
together for a
If
while.
you want to go by the Bible, uh, when it comes to religion, if you screwed whoever you screwed first, you're married to that person.
That is an awful law.
No, but that's essentially biblical law because you're consummating the relationship or making yourselves married. So it's like, have they screwed? Okay, how long they live together? Okay, you got common law and religious saying they're married now. No one in the Bible does it say you have to have a big ceremony and be declared married by somebody.
I mean, they said that cotton was a sin, so you kind of take the Bible with a grain of salt when it comes to certain
No, they didn't
things.
say cotton was a sin. They said mixed clothing. So if you wear polyester and cotton blend, you're sinning. Same thing if you eat crab or any other shellfish. But yeah, next episodes we're gonna have to actually plan this out, like chat the day before.
I'm realizing that now too. We had a list of different topics in mind, but we kind of just hit all of them at different segments.
We'll get this down eventually. We're actually kind of starting to wind it down here at the 52-minute mark, so we got about 8 minutes left in the show. But I do want to start letting you guys know. I do want to start getting an intro and outro music going on this thing. We will be having a guest on the show from time to time. My transgender friend I mentioned from work is interested in coming on the show. We're talking about transgendered issues. Uh, Mostly, she's going to be the lost puppy because she won't actually look anything up and do any studying, but she does want to give her idea on what she would feel once we've described the situation. Um, all that stuff. Your friend would be a great guest to have. Maybe we could do a segment on like 40s versus 20s views on things. Like if I had prepped for a show that we were just going to hate on the right and the left, like I say, we hate the left and the right, and did this as news and politics because I thought we talked about some politics. But thing is, we're going to have to come up with a title for the show beforehand and do some research and start doing some show prep. Because quite honest, guys, we did this episode because we were going to do this Thursday, but we're supposed to have a massive windstorm here in the Midwest, and like I said, I want to have this computer shut down on Thursday night. So hopefully Sunday night's broadcast will be a lot better with a lot more prep done.
Yeah, we didn't really prep for this. I mean, we did, for the most part, keep on topic when it came to religion and politics, but at the same time,
We kind of went off on a couple little rants and crusades about minimum wage and stuff. And next time, if we're doing another hate on the right and the left, we need to actually look at right and left
yes.
issues and why centerism is the best. Because if I actually want to do some prep work, I could go in and find examples and have them here ready to go of the both the right and the left being crazy. Because according to according to the left, all right people are Nazis, and you know what? I hate Nazis. Uh, and the left doesn't
Well,
realize
neo-Nazis would be the better terminology.
neo simply means new. They aren't new. They're still Nazis. They just aren't serving under Hitler. And really, the left
Well,
is
what would
acting
you
like Nazis.
consider the left to be then?
Fascists. And socialism and fascism are actually the same thing, which we can go into on another episode how they're essentially the same. Fascism has the centralized planned economy with the illusion of private property. Communism just no private property, but when you look at the left, they act more racist, more like fascists than anybody else. But then again, the right has people like our vice president who wants Christians to create a theocracy in the United States, which is another topic for another day. But like I said, we got to get winding down here. We're getting to the end of the show. I'm Six Ring Productions. You guys subscribe here, see my gaming videos over on Six Wing Gaming. Laura Quinting, she does unboxing and mukbangs or mukbangs or however you pronounce that. You can go subscribe to her channel, and if you want to support the podcast and my gaming channel, you can go to the Patreon link in the description below and give us as little as $1 a month. That will help the channel grow and help us to do these more often because then we have money for actual equipment instead of a Razer headset and a phone mic. So, anything you want to say on the way out, Laura?
Not really. Give us a like so we know that you saw the video. I do want to give a shout out to Canva. I did make our thumbnail screen grab all in like 3 minutes. When I picked out the SpongeBob thing, all you have to do for that, and this is kind of like a tip when you have stuff in Canva that you're trying to get from an outside source, is you want to make the image a transparent. So like you type that into Google and then you find your image. Basically, I wanted something that would grab the attention but still correlate with the word over time. So I thought it was
Yeah, we've gone
funny fun.
mad. We are like going on rants. We are mad and we are without any sleep because this is overtime. Anyways,
Yes.
we will see you in the next episode, and hopefully in the next episode we'll have the episode after that's titled "Plan," so we can tell you about what we're going to talk about next time. So yeah, we'll talk. See you guys in the next episode on Sunday night at either 11 or midnight, depending on which time we like to do it. I will get the right probably about 10 o'clock. I'll get the stream scheduled when we're going to go live and put that up here so you guys can start watching for us to get started. And yeah, I think that's all for tonight. See you guys next time and have a good one.
Bye.